Today we're talking about the power of dads. Thoughts on dads. Thoughts on being a father. Two things that stood out for me last couple days on fatherhood. The draft, the NBA draft was on the other night. And as you watch the NBA draft, you see all these super talented kids get selected. And the thought I had was, when you talk about, especially when you talk about African American players, the percentage of fathers who aren't there, the percentage of fathers who aren't at the table when these kids get drafted. I don't know what that percentage is, but we know as we look in the league, the number could be better. Now, some stats say that, in fact, African American fathers are the most active fathers, which you don't get that stat often. But I just had the thought as I was watching, I was wondering what those numbers were, and I hope that's true. I hope that we are being fed false information when we always talk about what black fathers aren't doing. But what came to mind, especially for NBA players and the draft, number one, I saw this video of Bol and Manute Bol. Manute Bol, of course, former NBA player, and his son Bol, who was expected to go in the first round, but actually went in the second round, like his father. And I saw a video of when he was a kid and his father was still alive. He lost his father, I think, a few years ago. Manute Bol passed away. And as a little bitty kid, he was probably 7 or 8 years old, he had so much admiration for his dad. And it was weird, man, because I watched it. You know how if you know the whole complete story, sometimes you project onto the story. But he, as a little kid, it almost seemed like he was melancholy because his dad was there, and they asked, "What did your dad do?" And he said, "Dunk on people." And, "Do you want to be like your dad?" He said yes. And when he was answering the questions, even though he was a little kid, it seemed melancholy. It's almost like as if he knew his dad may not be there. I'm sure that's not true, but his little tone was just so sweet when he said "Daddy." Man, almost broke your heart. And to know that later on, his dad wouldn't be there, especially on this night where he was drafted in the second round, is really heartbreaking. And also, it's just interesting. I was thinking about, if his dad were there, he could have helped him deal with the disappointment of not being drafted in the first round. He could have helped him just deal with this new journey because his dad had already gone through it. But at the same time, being raised with a dad who did live that lifestyle, he still has an advantage over those who did not. And so you can't get caught up in the negativity or the sadness, but it is heartbreaking. And that's the same way I feel about, since we're talking about NBA, the whole Kawhi Leonard. I don't know if you know the story of Kawhi Leonard, but his father was killed when he was around 16. He was a star basketball player. His dad owned a car wash and was killed. Of course, they never found the killer. They never found the reason. It's probably a robbery. And again, Kawhi Leonard moves with a certain melancholy, a certain sadness. I think of it, but again, I could be totally wrong. But I could imagine to lose your father at 16 has to be hard. And also, he was a young father. He was his workout buddy. And so at every level, just again, imagining winning the championship and him not being there, that has to be tough. I mean, it has to be tough. So shout out to all of those young men who've had to deal with the loss of fathers. I always talk about my father not being a part of my life, but I imagine it's even more challenging to lose your father, especially in this world where you're looking for all the answers. So for all of us fathers who are here, let's buckle down and do our jobs and be the fathers that we need to be. And even shout out to the fathers, I always do this, who are not as involved as they should be or as they want to be, Don't ever give up. Keep going for it. Make that relationship, even if it's just letting your child know, I'm here. Even if you haven't been there, I'm here. I know I haven't been a part of your life. I just want to let you know that I'm here. And then when you say that, you mean it and you live up to it. And that's going to make a huge difference. I'm telling you, your child will come to you. Even if your child is a grown person, they need dad there. They need you there. And lastly, I had an interesting situation the other day, or actually it was yesterday, with my daughter. I got into it with my daughter on an issue, and I had to I had to put my big dad drawers on because I think I got my emotions involved. I think I got my feelings hurt a bit. I think I felt quote unquote disrespected, which is interesting. I think we throw that around, especially our generation. I think we throw respect, that word, around a lot when talking with people who are close to us. So I had a scenario again with my daughter that didn't really turn out like I wanted it to, and I felt a bit disrespected. But the thing I was so proud of was she put her pride aside and came back to me. And not only apologized, she expressed her feelings towards me. And it was great. It was great because my ego was making me not, was actually making me distant. And I was caught up in my feelings. And, it happens, parents, but it's not a good place to be in. It's always best to put your ego down and deal with the situation, and then love on your child or your wife or your loved one. And but again, my daughter, she did it first, and I was so happy and so proud of her, and I was hoping that that was going to be the case, and it was. And I was just again, I'm just so proud of her because she was probably a bigger adult in the situation than I was. Then lastly, my last note on fathers and fatherhood, I had another moment where I felt really cool because they're always watching you. So in these moments, like yesterday, it wasn't one of my finest moments, if I'm honest. I'm not getting into it, but in your not so finest moments and in your finest moments, they are always watching. And so you always have to live up to whatever you're talking about, because it's not what you say, it's what you do. But in a minor, not minor, but something that made me smile was, so my oldest is getting ready to go to college. And we're feeling it. I think we're all kind of a little sentimental. We're on vacation now. This is our last vacation before our first baby goes off to college. And so we were at dinner or at lunch, and I ordered a drink, tea, soda, whatever it was, and some lemons, and I squeezed the lemon in the drink. And apparently my oldest pointed out, this is what I always do. He said, Dad always does that. He always squeezes the lemon in the drink, and then he puts the lemon in the drink. And I thought it was funny that who knew they're watching? They're always watching you, whatever you're doing. They're always watching. And I just thought that was cool, and I felt special because my baby was watching me and knew my practice. And I think she does the same now, so that's interesting. But thoughts on fatherhood. I'm Mark Clark. Thanks for watching. Have a great one. All right, peace.